I'm Isabella, and this tutorial is on Active-HDL's HDL editor. The HDL editor is a text editor that will allow you to edit any HDL source code you may have. It has a bunch of different features like creating bookmarks, generating structures, auto-formatting text, and keyword coloring, which is specific to whatever language you're using, whether that's Verilog, VHDL, C, whatever. So let's begin by creating a new file. We want to right click on Add New File, and we'll create a new VHDL file that we'll name Demo. We want it to have two inputs, alpha and beta, and one output, zeta. Make sure you select Out in the port directions here, and then click Finish. When you hit Finish, you'll see that it already auto-generated the file for you, but it gives the bare minimum. You have the entity declaration with the ports you just fed it, and the architecture, but there's nothing inside. So let's start typing. Whenever you're typing, there's this predictive text feature that tries to autocomplete the keyword or even the data types that you're trying to type. And you can also see here that the keywords are highlighted in blue for VHDL. Now there's two different types of predictive texts we can choose from. You saw above that we picked the ones without light bulbs, and it just completed the word, that was it. If you select the one with a light bulb though, there's always going to be a pop-up that you need to complete. So sensitivity list, we'll put alpha and beta. And that light bulb means we're pulling from the language assistant to get a template. Unfortunately, the predictive text does not work with your ports. So putting Z for zeta here, you'll see that there's nothing popping up. But there is a way to cycle through them. If you hold Alt and hit the slash on your number pad, it cycles through your ports. And it actually goes through everything in your text file here. So not just your ports, but everything in it. We'll see with B for if we're trying to put beta, if you hold Alt and slash on number pad, it went to begin and then beta. Like I said, it goes through every text in your file here. And it goes through them alphabetically. Now that we've completed that, we can either continue to type on our own or use the Language Assistant. It can be found in Tools and Language Assistant or the light bulb button here. The Language Assistant contains a bunch of different templates that we can use to help either guide us through the code or even some little snippets that will help us complete our code altogether. You could pull either the templates or the snippets to help you figure out what you want to do with your code. So in our case, let's go into synthesis templates and flip-flops and pick this D flip-flop with asynchronous reset. On the right here, you'll see everything it'll give you, and you can either copy and paste it into your code or click the name and drag and drop it where you want it in your code. Now, this code actually gives you everything you need. You don't need to change it at all. Everything's pre-made. But if you wanted to, you can right-click it, go into block, and we could change the lettering for it. We can make everything uppercase, change it to lowercase, or even opposite case. And again, you can do that in right-clicking and go block, or use these keyboard shortcuts here. So making everything lowercase, you'll also notice that it gave us a couple comments. So the top comment is always going to be whoever you picked from the language assistant, so in this case D flip-flop, and any following comments will be the ports you need for it to work in your code. So we have these 4 ports we need to add, and they're already commented. We need to uncomment them. You can either uncomment them individually, or if you right-click, you could comment and uncomment large groups through this, or you could use the keyboard shortcuts you see there. So now let's just cut and paste it into our port declarations. And just like with commenting, we could also indent or outdent large groups. So if we select the group, right-click, and go into block, we could indent or outdent large groups with this. We could also use keyboard shortcuts, so we could either tab for indent or shift tab for an outdent. Since we made everything lowercase in the process down here, we also need to change our ports so they're lowercase as well. We could select it like this, but that also gets our data types, which we don't really want. So we could hold Alt and drag it so we get this nice little box or frame that has just the specific things we want. Then right click and go block and make it lowercase. Now let's make a couple mistakes in here, save it and compile. Anytime you compile, you'll see any errors you have in bright red in the console down here. You can double click an error and it will jump to wherever it is on the code and point it with this red arrow. In the code, you'll also be able to see errors with these red squiggly lines, and if you hover over them, it will show you what's wrong with them. So let's fix this one real fast and save and compile again. Now, you don't always have to wait to compile to find your errors. You can use the code browser to help you with that. Now, the code browser could be found in View in Code Browser, or click this symbol here. When you click it, it opens the code browser on the side here, and you'll be able to see your entire hierarchy and what level you're in, along with any errors in that level. You'll see the errors in bright red here, and the little X right down there with it. And when you fix it, nothing's there. Now you'll notice that this still has a red squiggly, but that's because it was a compilation error. Any normal error, if you have it, would be shown in red in the code browser and have the little X. So if we fix that, we'll see that there's nothing in the code browser now, and if we compile, we'll see it's a green in success. Now, if you don't like looking at your code this way, you can generate structure. You click this button up here, or right-click in any white space, go to Document Structure, and Generate Structure. It groups things by and color codes them based on what the structure is supposed to be, and it allows you to minimize them as well. Also notice that each level within a group has darker shades. So this architecture is bright green and it has darker green inside it. Now moving on to our top level code, you'll notice that it doesn't look right. Everything's all shifted to the left. So there's a couple ways we could fix it. We could generate code, and we could also right click, document structure, collapse or expand all of the groups. But everything's still shifted over to the left. So we can automatically format by clicking this button here. It'll automatically format it so you don't have to manually indent everything. Now, if you dislike scrolling up and down, you could split the screen into 4 ways. There's a little nub on the edge of the scroll bar that you could just click and drag and split it to up to 4 screens. You can also make it easier to find things by creating bookmarks. Now, there are 2 different kinds of bookmarks. There are normal bookmarks that you just add by clicking the toggle bookmark here, and it will show up as a little bookmark on the side right there. Or there's a named bookmark. So click the named bookmark here, and then it'll have a pop-up to give a name, and it always shows up as a comment in your code. Now, how you cycle through the bookmarks. If you want to cycle through a normal bookmark, there's 2 ways actually. You can cycle through it by clicking the next and previous bookmarks buttons up here, and it'll just jump to them. Or you go to select and browse by bookmark, and you could go through your bookmarks that way. If you want to go through your named bookmarks, you have to go select browse by named bookmarks and cycle through it through this tool here. That's the only way you can go browse by named bookmarks. Also, if you ever want to remove any of your split screens, just drag the bar off screen. So we created the demo file earlier. Now we need to include it into our top level here. Just push the plus next to the file in the design browser, and then right click and copy Verilog instantiation. We want Verilog since our top level's in Verilog. Just change label 1 to DUT for device under test. Save and compile. You'll see it's a successful compilation. And now we can run this pre-made macro and we'll be able to see a completed waveform. That concludes this tutorial on the HDL editor. Thank you for watching.